Okay, I'm going to jump in with a couple of short demos, and then we'll get started with the business end of the workshop. So here's Doenet. You have the ability to write some bread and butter questions like this. So Doenet isn't just for homework questions, although you can write those too. You can also have full-blown activities. Um, I'll share those later. But for a demo of what I would like to highlight as one of the strengths of Doenet is a question like this. I use this for my intermediate algebra final exam. Um, any choices? Anyone want to pick a value for the slope of this linear function? You have numbers from -10 to 10, cannot choose -1, 0, or 1. Anyone want to pick a number?
2,
2. All right. And how about the slope?
7.
7. Excellent. All right, now notice that you see that there's more stuff coming, but you don't get to see any of that until you've, well, gotten some questions correct, or at least you've committed answers to a certain block. So it's a conditional release of content. Next thing we need to do is graph this line. So I go to 7, and then I can go up to and over 1. I check my work, it's correct, and then the line appears. Had I not done it correctly, the line would not have appeared, and I would just be told it's incorrect. You do have the ability to add feedback to these questions should you wish to. For an assessment, I obviously don't want to give them feedback unless it's something appropriate, but in this case, there's no feedback. Now, once you do that, then the next bit appears. Uh, I wanted to draw our attention to the type of question that you typically see with these structures. So find the equation of a line perpendicular to y equals 2x plus 7 that passes through the point 1 comma 5. That tends to be the standard intermediate algebra, college algebra question, which students can typically game the system by just memorizing a procedure and saying this number goes here. Why? Well, I don't know. But, or I flip this number upside down and I negate it, and then that number goes here. But there's not really a deep understanding of why they're doing the things that they're doing. Now here they have to graph g of x, which is perpendicular to this function that they made. Now, number sense and choosing things appropriately come into play as well. They could have chosen better numbers. Nothing wrong with 2 and 7, but you can imagine going back and saying, well, I don't want to solve that question anymore. I'd rather solve something with 2 and 2 or 2 and 4, something where both numbers are even. So here, the issue is that they almost always want to pick the same y-intercept, but they're not allowed to pick any point on the graph of f of x if they know what they're doing. They can do this and then just move this point after the fact. Or recognize that the slopes of perpendicular lines have nothing to do with the y-intercept. You just need the slope to be the negative reciprocal. So it doesn't matter where those 2 points are. You can start anywhere, and from that point, move down 1 and move to the right by 7 units. Understand? Oh, I'm sorry. There we go. Down 1 and then over 2 units. Now you need to write the equation. Had you not chosen this point, so let's say you start with this point and then you go over 2, you can imagine that the y-intercept might not be very convenient had you chosen a more awkward slope. So again, becomes incumbent upon them, or they're rewarded for making more appropriate choices. So if you pick your y-intercept, you can just move down 1 and over 2 and have your equation for free. Once you get that correct, then you move on to things about parallel lines. And you can imagine this continuing on. There's a couple of multiple choice questions at the end that, well, the slopes have to be the same. So move something higher, give it the same slope, check, write the equation of the parallel line. And then it starts asking questions about Well, what's the relationship between the original line that you had started with, F, and H? So if F and G are perpendicular and G and H are parallel, what must be true of F and H? So you can ask conceptually driven questions that also are interspersed with just find the equation, the standard mechanical things that you're looking for. And you can do this with obviously calculus 1 and calculus 2 as well. All right, next thing. Any questions thus far before we move into Donut itself? Okay, then before we go on, could I get everyone to go to doenet.org? This page should show up. Now, I'm already logged in, but if you haven't yet created an account, on the top right corner of the page, it'll show a button that says, actually, let me log out, sign up/login. So if you click on that, it'll give you the option to either just use a non-Google account, so your school email or a personal Hotmail account if you still use one of those, or you can just sign in with Gmail. I just use Gmail because I already have an account with them and I don't need to remember one other set of credentials. So I'm going to click sign in with Gmail and I'm already in. If you use your personal email or if you use a non-Gmail email, it's going to send you an 8-digit number as what's it called, a magic code or something. Then you have to copy paste it in. So we'll give people maybe 30 seconds to do that. Let me know or let us know if you need help.
Do you have your students create a Donut account
Yes.
using
They
like their
don't,
school email?
I give them the choice. I tell them exactly what I just shared with you, that if I don't know why, but they choose not to set up the school emails on their, I guess, devices. Um, so logging into Donet then depends on them having access to their school email. And if they don't remember their institutional password, then it becomes a longer train of tech support. And if they type in the wrong password enough times, then they get locked out of their system. So I tell them whichever email you have access to on your phone or on your device right now, that's the one I suggest using.
Got it. Thank you.
Mhm. Are we all logged in? Anyone still need help? Tabitha, question?
Nope, I'm working on it.
Okay.
So I am logged in.
Do you see your
What?
initials on the top right-hand corner of the screen?
Go check. Yes.
Excellent. So now we're all together. Okay, now just a couple of observation questions, really. And there's some right answers, but feel free to reach out and talk whenever you wish to. There's stuff happening on the left-hand side. There's stuff happening on the right-hand side. I can modify the things on the left. I cannot do the same on the right. So tell me what you observe. It's an open-ended question.
Okay, maybe I'm not in the right place.
Okay.
Right now I see richly interactive classroom activities.
That's where you should be. Now, if you switch over to looking at my screen, do you see what I'm sharing on my screen?
I do.
Excellent. That's where we should be. I just
How
had
do
you
I get?
log in because I'm going to
Oh,
have you do something shortly, and that's where
okay.
you will need to be logged in for.
Got it.
But for now, the task is there's stuff happening on the left-hand side, there's stuff happening on the right-hand side. What do you notice is doing what?
So the EM command means italics,
Yep.
I suppose.
So this is Anurag is italicized, and EM, or for emphasis, that does that.
Mm.
What else do we notice?
you put your x plus 2 as a separate paragraph.
There's x plus 2 down here, and that happens through a separate paragraph. So what do you think indicates the donut that you need to make a new paragraph?
What do you call those little things? They're like the inequality symbols
Angle
with the
brackets?
angle brackets with the P inside of it.
Yep.
When you're typesetting math, you're using M like M brackets, I guess.
Yep. So right here, x plus 2 looks nice because it is placed within an M tag or an M component. You see under option 2, it's within M tags as well. But I'm sorry, option 1 has it, but option 2, other way around. Option 2 has it, option 1 doesn't. So this looks like plain text. Someone at a previous workshop called it word text, which I think everyone gets. One more thing, or a couple more things.
You have your title is big and bold, and then similar to the emphasis that makes things italic, you have like an alert. Where'd it go? Yeah, alert for option 3, which also makes it bold, but not as big as the title.
Yep. So there's a single title for the entire page. That will be the biggest and the boldest. You can have titles for things which we'll talk about later, which will be bold, but not as big as the title for the entire page. So there's a structural hierarchy, and the benefit of using the structural hierarchy for Doenet is that you get accessibility for free. So if you were to stick this inside of a screen reader, you don't have to do anything extra. By virtue of telling Doenet that this is the title of the page, the screen reader knows, oh, this is what the title of this document is. Now, within this document, you can start having sections. And if I have a title for a section, this is my demo section. You'll notice it's bold. It's bigger than the surrounding regular normal text, but it's not as big as the title of the document. So when a screen reader gets to line 19, it recognizes, hey, we're going into section, and the title of that section is this is my demo section. Couple of observations. I'm just going to pull up my notes.
Oh, one last thing.
Sure.
It looks like you've commented out some code up top, which is exciting. I remember in the workshop I was wanting to make some comments, and I'm like, I don't know how to make comments, so I was just like writing them down. But it looks like you're using the exclamation point situation.
Yeah. So that was going to be the last thing. So the couple of things were alert was one, and then comment. You'll notice that left colon code and right colon rendered output doesn't actually show up on the right-hand side. That's because it's commented out. If you're used to programming, you know what commenting out means. If you're not used to programming or you don't know what that means, it just means that Doenet will not do anything with this line. So if I wanted to take away option 1, hello world, the keyboard shortcut for commenting out is command or control and then forward slash. So you don't even have to select the whole line. The editor is nice enough that whichever line you're in, if you press command or control and then forward slash, it will comment that line out. And the same keystrokes will uncomment the line as well. And if you want to comment the whole thing out, you can do the same. Command or control forward slash comments the whole block out. Command and forward slash uncomments it out or brings the whole thing back. Fair? All right. Now, oops, come back. This is a new line. Now we've added this new line. How do you make Doenet appear that line on the right-hand side?
With update.
You can either click this update button up top, or you can press Command or Control S. So saving the document updates the document as well. Now you'll notice that I've created a new section here. The title of that section is new. Within that section, I've created a paragraph called test. Every time you open a component, the components go within the angle brackets. You have to close the component as well. Are we familiar with that paradigm? I can talk more about it if we're not. Like a begin or an end with LaTeX, same thing. The closure is always indicated by a forward slash of the same component. This is an example of nesting components. So you don't have to have just the component by itself at all times. You can stick some components within other components. If you're not allowed to do that with a specific component, then Doenet, the schema will yell at you and say, hey, this is not allowed to go inside the other thing. Now, one other thing, hopefully it might be too faint, but there are these yellow squiggle lines under my P tag and underneath the alert. So all the way from line 10 to 14, there's these yellow squiggles or orange squiggles under my screen. And if I screwed off to the side, you'll notice that there's a little warning here. So if I click on this warning symbol, it will tell you that in line 10, I'm giving this P component, the big one on the outside, invalid children, meaning I'm putting stuff inside it that is not supposed to be there. It's not valid Doenet ML. That being said, orange squiggles are not quote unquote bad. It's a suggestion to do things differently, but it's not going to break your activity. And if I do this, oops, don't look at that. Let's see. This is some sample text. And I click out of it. It might be too faint, but there's stuff underneath it. And now you'll notice that this is not an attribute of this component. So Donut's saying, I'm not going to run it, bad things are happening. This is a much bigger issue than just a warning. And you see that right here. So errors will not allow for the document to be created. Warnings, well, we're warning you that something bad might happen down the road, but we're not preventing the document from being created. So Doenet will try to make you happy, even if you're going to maybe do bad things later. One of the most common mistakes that at least I ran into when I was learning Doenet was saying things like x is less than 3. Do you expect for this to work or not? There's also a tiny little red squiggle. That's a big error because anything following an angle bracket is a component in Doenet's head. So easy way to fix it is just to put a space between those characters, and now it will render x is less than 3. But this is word math. How do we make it LaTeX math or rendered math? Anyone remember?
The angle bracket P? No, angle bracket M.
P would just generate a new paragraph, so
Yeah.
M is the correct one. So we open, write the expression, close, and now it's nice and pretty, as expected. Fair?
So you don't need to create a new paragraph every time you write something.
You'll learn fairly quickly when the reason I didn't need to create a new paragraph was because test was within a separate paragraph. So this line 21 is generating this piece of text. Now, if I make a copy of this expression and write it underneath it, it will go on the same line. So you don't need to make a new paragraph unless you obviously want things to go in the next line. You can kind of coast off of the previous one. That being said, is a good practice to put new paragraph or p tags wherever they're appropriate? Sure. You can alternate if you're really, really, being miserly with your byte size for the file, but use p tags when necessary or when appropriate. All right, are we ready to try some stuff? You guys sound a lot more comfortable, so this should go quickly. Uh, Here's my link. All right, in the Zoom chat is a link. If you click on it, this should happen. Although not if you're already signed in. Are we signed in already? Okay. Um,
It worked
then,
okay for me.
okay, so on the top right corner of the screen, because I don't think you'll be able to edit anything yet, right? On the left-hand side, it should be kind of grayed out. On the top right side, there should be something that maybe says add to. So click on that and then add to your activities. When you do, it should open up your activities, which should be a whole bunch of, it might not be a whole bunch of things like I have here, but you should just have your activity at the very top. Click on it and make all the errors go away. That's your task for now. If you need help, ask. Guess I should have mentioned this earlier. When you're done, just type done in the chat so we know when to move on. Excellent. So, very quickly, how do we fix these things?
On line 11, you
Mhm.
needed to open the paragraph.
That's one.
On
In
line,
line, oh, in
no, go
line,
ahead. I already did one.
thank you. In line 12, you're missing the P with a slash at the end.
At the end. All right. Hooray. Okay, next thing I'm gonna have you guys talk. Feel free to take turns. What I want to have happen is down here, I want it to look just like it looks in the screenshot. So I have some text here. It does not look like this stuff. Do we follow? Okay, if this does not make sense, it's because I'm attached to this activity and I want to make it work. There are two workshops where this worked fantastically, and two workshops where it has crashed and burnt, where no one was like, we have no idea what's happening. And Melissa is laughing because I refuse to let go of this activity. It will work one day. What I want to have happen is a copy-pasted version of exactly what you see up here down below. So this is actually not Doenet ML. It's actually an image. Oops, where'd my cursor go? It's a screenshot of something else. So this isn't actually rendered by anything on the left-hand side. I did this. I take a screenshot and then I place it there. So the first thing I want you to observe is there's a difference between this thing. I don't want to give it a name because that gives away the answer. This thing, I have no ability to collapse it, right? I can't click anything and collapse it. Whereas this thing has a similar look. It's on the outside, but I can click to close and I can open it again. So if you don't know how to do something, what do you do?
Experiment.
Well, sure.
Ask.
You ask, but what happens
Uh,
if it's midnight and no one's available? Put
I
yourself
need
in
to.
your student shoes. I'm asleep at
Google
midnight.
it.
There is a help button or something like that.
Well, there's two ways to get to the help, three ways to get to the help. So there's a big thing here that says help and training, and you can go to the documentation that way. I do not recommend going to that documentation that way. I will show you why. When you click on this, your work goes away. It doesn't actually, but I didn't want anyone to feel the panic that I felt the first time when I was working. All of that is still saved, but it's just I've been asking forever and I keep getting turned down. This should open in a new tab just so people don't freak out about losing their work. But if you click on this little question mark with a circle around it and click on this documentation, it will open in a new tab. There's a third place that you can get help But this third place only makes sense if you already kind of know what you're doing. And hopefully I'll explain what that means. So on the bottom left corner of your screen, you'll see this button called Context right there. So if I go and I click on the title component, you'll notice it tells you within the context of the document, it creates a title within the document section or other block component. And if you wanted to know more about the title component, you can click on Reference Page, and it will bring you to that specific component within the documentation. So this is helpful if you already know what a title does, and you want to know some more things about it, like attributes or properties. So here, notice what I'm doing. I'm clicking on this instructions to open, and I'm clicking on it to close. So this is not part of the image, right? The image would just be static. This is something that's actually a Doenet component. So what on the left-hand side do you think would do that?
Aside.
What component have we not addressed yet?
The aside.
Yep. So an aside is a sectional component, just like a section, but the difference is you can collapse it. So now I've created another aside. Actually, I lied to you. Maybe a month ago, Dwayne, the creator of Doenet, made it so that you can make sections collapsible as well. So what I'm going to do is just to show you that a section by itself, you cannot collapse because there's nothing to click. Now, how could I know more about the section component? Where could I go to ask for help?
With context,
Move your head.
click on section and then context.
So I can move my head and then go click on section, and then it says, hey, this is just what the section is. Now, there's two ways to get there. This is new, like within the past few weeks, so I'm still not used to using it, and my head's always in the way. But if you go to the documentation, the thing you're looking for is reference, at least for now. If we click on reference, and here a couple of different ways to scroll. You can just scroll here, look for section, scroll here, look for section, or just click on S and come down to all the components that start with S. The section is right there. Now here there's a lot of things, so we've collapsed things by default, so you don't get overwhelmed and get scared off. But if you click expand all, then this will tell you all the attributes for section. Attributes in my head, and this is not maybe technically perfect, attributes are things that I modify about the way the document looks. So those are things that I control. Properties, which we'll talk about later, maybe Melissa will get into them. Properties are things that, in my head, are things that students can change. So whether someone has received credit or not for a question has nothing to do with me. It has to do with student input. If the student types in the right answer, they get credit for it. So I can determine whether a student has achieved credit on a specific question or not. But what I want you guys to do is go to the reference page for section, and I'll even share the link here. Oops. And I want two attributes. So attributes, again, are things that I am modifying about the way the section looks to the student. I want to put that decorative border around it. So look for all the attributes, or look through all the attributes, and find the one that you think creates that decorative border. And the other is I want to make it collapsible, just like an aside. So take a moment, find it, and when you do, yell it out loud. Or actually, take 30 seconds. Let other people look as well.
Box it.
That makes the nice border.
Sorry, I think I'm a little lost. So we don't need to do this and place it inside the aside.
This is a side quest.
Okay.
This is not part of the regularly scheduled programming.
Oh, I see. Okay.
I'm telling you people to go to the documentation when you need help.
Yeah, but this is to make the collapsible section using section, right?
Correct.
Using the okay.
So is there an attribute that you found that will allow you to collapse the way a section looks?
Collapsible.
So nice thing about Doenet is that there's a great deal of care that goes into naming these things. In fact, sometimes it's a little too much care. I'm in favor of just trying something and seeing if it works. Dwayne, on the other hand, the gentleman who created Doenet, will have these meetings every other Tuesday where we will discuss the naming of new attributes and naming of new components and what would convey the meaning in the most general manner. So if you want to make something collapsible, you'll notice that if you just start typing CO, a whole bunch of options appear. So obviously, you can go to the documentation and read it as you should, but if you're being lazy like I am, you can just start typing the word you think it is, or you think it ought to be, and 9 times out of 10, smarter people have come up with that same exact name. Now, one thing I want to point out, or one other thing I want to point out, you'll notice here that collapsible is a Boolean. Booleans can take either values of true or false. The default value is false, meaning a section by nature is not collapsible. So how do you think I modify the value of collapsible, the attribute, to true? How would I do that?
Well, you can write section collapsible without the box.
Well, the boxed is separate to collapsible. Boxed just makes it boxed. Those two things can appear at the same time. You can have well, I don't know, I've never run into a limit of the number of attributes, but you can have multiple attributes.
You want to do boxed equals true and then collapsible equals true.
So I'm going to do collapsible equals true, and I'm going to leave boxed as it is. So notice that I have now a section that is collapsible. So the reason why I wanted to take this detour was in part to introduce you to the documentation and how to take a look at it, but also that just because I did this with an aside does not mean that I have to do it with an aside forever. I can just use a section, but then if I use a section, I have to make it collapsible because it's not collapsible by default. Fair? The other thing is you could have been proper like Dania was and modified this to boxed equals true. But if something is the default value, you don't have to specify it. So boxed defaults to true. So saying boxed equals true doesn't change anything. But if you say boxed equals false, then it will take, whoa, what's happening?
So because you've got collapsible there, it's boxing it automatically.
I just remembered, yeah, because there has to be this decorative thing on the top that says click to collapse. Uh, I was having a mild panic attack, but yeah, thank you. But if you had done this and you didn't have collapsible,
Mhm.
then it would not be box. But then the idea becomes, well, then why are you writing box in the first place? Sometimes you're doing this to test things. You're trying to troubleshoot why something's working, why something's not working. So you'll set the flag to false to see what happens and what doesn't. So I'm going to go back to, actually, I'm just going to get rid of this line. We have an aside. I want the aside to have a title of instructions. So how would I do that?
Angle
Or
bracket
title.
title
Where?
inside the aside.
Yep. The title instructions. Hooray, now that looks the same. Now if I open and open this, I need this sentence. So how would I put that inside this aside?
Just grid them between the P's.
So p tag by the end of this task, dot, dot, dot. I'm just going to do that for the sake of time. So now, okay, by the end of this talk, by the end of task, whatever, you get the idea. What happens next? What's after that sentence?
You open another aside.
Aside is collapsible. This I don't want
Okay.
collapsible. So what should I use?
The
You're going to put in
section.
the image, right?
Use a box.
It's not an image. So the image is how I'm displaying the question to you, but I want us to generate it through Doenet ML. That's what we're doing.
Got it.
Can we use
Maybe
just
that's the
boxes?
part that confuses everyone, that everyone wants to recreate the image. Well, anyhow. So if I just do boxed, you'll notice that this does not autocomplete. Why?
You need the section.
Boxed is an attribute of a section. A boxed is not a component by itself. So we have to say, oh, I want a section, which autocompletes, and then I want the section to be boxed. Within that section, what do I want?
Title it one introduction.
One introduction.
And then you want paragraph for this is fun and paragraph for I want to learn more.
Yeah.
Getting closer, right? Now I need examples, and then options one, option two, option three. So that already works the way it should. How do I include this examples thing in big capital letters here, or big bold letters?
M?
The alert.
M?
Oh, the M.
M?
No.
Or
Is
Is
it another
this?
section? It's hard for me to tell. Is it a section or a subsection? That's what it
Let's
looks
try
like.
M.
okay.
I want us to see what happens. I'll just open this.
Oh.
So that's going to make it so
Ah,
if you're familiar with LaTeX, M is essentially the same as dollar signs, or if you're using different delimiters, backslash, parentheses, and if you're really weird, square bracket open. I've seen some weird editors that use that, but essentially LaTeX goes inside an M tag. And Melissa will talk about the difference between M and math, but it's not M. Oops.
oh.
There was another suggestion, I forget.
Alert.
Alert. Oops. See if that does it.
Bold, but it doesn't look exactly like it.
Yeah, so it makes it bold, but it doesn't give it the gravitas maybe that Danya was talking about here. Danya, you had a suggestion, I think.
I couldn't tell if it's another section or if it's a subsection.
Let's
It's just
try
hard for me.
both.
Yeah.
So
It's
if you
probably another section because it looks big to me.
so if I just do a section but don't give it a
Oh,
title,
section, and it needs a title. Yeah, so you'll have to do your end section at the end of all of the option three, hello world X plus one, and
so
then
that goes
examples will go
here.
in a title.
Let's see. That still looks weird.
Why does, I mean, even one dot introduction looks, I mean, it looks tiny.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? It
Yeah.
looks small. Everything looks smaller that we've done.
Is introduction right? Because it does look way too small.
Thoughts on what might this be happening? I'll give it away because I'm 3 minutes over. I don't want Melissa getting mad at me. This is happening because this stuff
Hmm.
was written without an enclosing aside when I took a screenshot of it. So let's
Oh,
see what happens if I take the aside away. The relative sizes should go up. Voila. So what happened originally was I wrote this, took a screenshot of it, and stuck that inside here. That's why it looks much larger.
oh, okay.
This is an image. This is
Mhm.
not a Doenet ML export. This will look smaller if I go back and do this. And maybe this is why people are confused by this activity. I'll come up with a better one. So now there's three groups that have not liked it. Well, not liked it, but not understood the intent. But the purpose was to maybe start some conversations about, hey, I'm doing the things that you're expecting me to, but it's not working out the same. So if you look at something that looks different, check to see if it's a screenshot or if it's an image pasted in where donut structure is not coming through. Question so far?
Is there a way to number the sections? Because I thought by having the one introduction, you were numbering them in a way.
So what attribute do you think? If you had to guess a name, don't look, if you had to
Enumerate,
guess a name,
probably.
say it again.
Enumerate.
And no,
I'm
nope.
thinking of latex, but
Yeah. Do you want this to happen automatically?
yes.
So maybe I'll start with auto. Wait, is it not auto? I could have sworn it was auto. Let's take a walk. Let's see
Is
if
it
there
in the title?
is it in title?
Oh, it's include auto number. There it was.
Oh yeah, and
Yeah.
not just auto, but
Mhm.
include auto name, auto name if no title. So if you can override and say there's going to be an auto name which is section one,
Mhm.
but only include it if there's no title. So those are two separate attributes. So if I give you a title, I want you to use it. If I don't give you a title, then use an auto name and include auto number, whether to include auto-generated section number in the render title. So if I use that, now you'll notice 2.1, and then the one is R addition. So this will be 2.1. Other questions?
Can I make it show up the number that I want?
Yeah, put title here. Now it'll be 7.
Oh, I see.
Were you asking a different question? Maybe I
Yeah,
misunderstood.
like if I wanted to start at just 7 instead of like 2.1.
Oh, like setting a counter to
Yeah.
7? Melissa, do you know? I don't know the answer to that question.
I mean, I think you'd have to do it kind of manually. I don't think there's a slick way to do that
Okay.
that I know of.
So where's the 2.1 coming from?
That's
Is
from the include auto number because we
Oh,
have that other section above, and then
right.
this is a subsection of the second section. So,
Gotcha. Okay.
Now, there is a fight that's not a fight, a disagreement of principles. Um, Currently, if I were to add another aside within this section, or how do I do this? Um, you'll notice that this is the first thing that could be named. This is the second thing that could be named. And then this is the third thing that could be named. So it's not numbering the way you would expect it to from a LaTeX document where you can have definition, definition, theorem, theorem, definition, and it will number the definitions one, two, three, skip over the theorems, and then it will number the theorems one and two. Uh, there's ongoing discussion about which way it should be. If you feel strongly as I do about, no, sections should be numbered section one, section two, section three. And if there's an aside in the middle, it should not inherit the numbering from sections. Please voice your opinion, uh, because there are other people that feel very strongly about, nope, sectioned components should be numbered in order. So if it's section aside, it should be section one, aside two, section three, aside four, which I think is just pure insanity. Hopefully you agree with me.
yeah, if you've only got like one aside and it's on in the middle somewhere, it's harder to find if it's I don't know.
Are you okay? Well, this
I
is
think we're gonna get off track.
no, 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 no. I think we are going to get off track, but off track to something that's actually a new feature that I submitted recently. Ignore what I'm doing right now. So imagine you have a very long activity, and like Melissa just said, you're looking for something that is an aside one in the middle of 20 different sections. If you are somewhere here and you don't know where, maybe I'll go all the way to the top of the page. So if you control or command click on the right-hand side, it will take you to wherever you are in that document. This is maybe 2 weeks old, 10 days old, perhaps, and vice versa. If you control click here to test, it should take you to, well, it was at the very bottom of the page. So now there's no reason to number things in an absurd manner. I'll remove the vestige of this test.
That was
Okay.
one of my questions. Thank you.
Yep. Melissa, I think you're next, right?
Should we take a 5-minute bio break before resuming?
I'll leave it up to the participants.
All right,
Yes.
sounds good.
5 minutes,
So
we'll be
we'll
back.
resume at 3:15 here,
Sure.
or is Tonio back?
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, okay, great. All right, so I'll screen share. We're going to start talking about answer checking now, and some auto grading. Taking what we've already started to learn about syntax and starting to add some interactivity to that. So to look at some examples of this, we're going to look at the scratch pad. So there are a couple of ways to get to the scratch pad. If you're just on the main landing page for Doenet, you can click the Start Writing button. If you're anywhere else, you can just click the Try Writing button, and that'll take you to the scratch pad here. So when you're working in the scratch pad, um, there's this note here, your changes are not permanently saved, so it's the space to kind of experiment and try things out. If you do want to save your work, you can click this Save to Document button and then save it as an activity, and so then you can keep your work for later. There are different examples within the scratch pad. So we can click this load button to go to different examples, and we're going to be looking at math answer examples. So if you can get to that scratch pad, click the load button, and then click math answer examples, and we're going to talk through these ones. All right, are we all here? Great. We can try our little keyboard shortcut here and control click and see that the place that this line is happening is over on line 12. So we got the prompt, what is x plus x? And we've got the answer to x there. So this piece here, the answer tag is what's creating this box. And the simplest way to have an answer blank is just to use the answer tag and put the correct answer in between those tags there. So now if I put in 2x, that's going to be marked as correct. If I put in 3x, that's not correct. Um, so, um, Something to note here is that if I put in x plus x, that's also going to be marked as correct, which is maybe not the behavior that we want, but we can talk about how to fix that a little bit later. Something else to note here, for the x plus x here, we've got this in math tags. There are two main tags that we use for math content, the M tag and the math tag. When we just want to display math, we typically use the M tag. And so this is going to be for writing math that you just want to show. So you can write like you're writing in LaTeX here, in between the tags, and it'll just display it for the student. So usually if we're just displaying math and not doing any kind of computation with it, we want to just use the M tag. If we're using the math tag, that opens up a whole computer algebra system, and so we can do computations, simplification, that has a lot more power behind it. So when we don't need that, it's probably better to use the M tag. So something you might notice with this document. I think this popped up when I was hovering over here at some point, but we have an accessibility violation in this document right now, which is that an answer creating an input must have a short description or a label. So this is for screen readers so that they know for this blank, what is this blank for? What is the prompt? What are students supposed to do with it? So, and if this is actually not really how we want to be writing our answers, even though it's the simplest way, we want to always include a label. So the easy fix for this is instead of having our prompt outside of the answer and before it, we're going to move the prompt inside of the answer and put it inside of a label. So here we have our starting answer tag and our ending answer tag. Then within that we have the starting label, ending label. The prompt is within that. So then a screen reader will see that this label is connected to this answer blank, and they'll know what they're supposed to do for that answer blank. And then again, we have the correct answer right below that label so that when we put in 2x down here, that's marked as correct. Again, we have x plus x is still being marked as correct. Another thing that we can do is use an award tag here. We'll do just the exact same thing as the previous one. It's just putting an award around the answer in case you like that way of displaying it better. That award tag is also going to come up later in more sophisticated answer checking. Any questions at this point?
Yeah, so you wrote in the label so that when you hover over the answer box, you find the question again? Or, I mean, I'm not seeing a difference.
Right. So there's not a difference for people who are able to see the page. It looks exactly the same. The difference is that when the screen reader is navigating this, it's able to see that when it's clicking into this box, there's the label connected to it. There's this kind of link between this text over here and that answer block. Um, and so that it knows that that's the prompt for this blank.
Okay.
Mhm.
And what does award do for you?
Right now, it's just saying this is the answer. So it's no different from up here. In later things that we do with answer checking, it'll make more of a difference. All right. So as we saw, we were getting x plus x as the correct answer. Because that's the same as 2x, and Doenet is able to do that kind of algebraic simplification. But, if we're asking students what is x plus x, we probably don't want to award credit if they just put in x plus x. So, something that we can do to prevent awarding for x plus x is using the attribute symbolic equality for answer. So that's going to make sure that what they're typing in, we're only awarding for 2x and not awarding for things that are algebraically equivalent to that. Um, so now with the symbolic equality attribute, now if we put in 2x, that's still awarded as correct, but if I put in x plus x, now that's not marked as correct. There's another attribute, simplify, that we can use to specify different, uh, oh, that's with the math tag. So I better not mention that right now. But there's a simplify attribute for the math tag that we can use to have different levels of simplification and get kind of more fine grain control that way. We
I
might
have a
want
question.
to, yep.
Can you admit any answer that's algebraically equivalent to 2x except for the x plus x? Could you just omit the x plus x?
Um, Anurag, do you know if there's a way to do that?
You
I
can't, and there's a good reason not to, because x plus x is not the only bad answer. Because if
right.
you only exclude x plus x, you can include, or students can get credit for x plus x plus 1 minus 1.
Right, but I'm thinking if the answer is a fraction and the student writes a non-simplified fraction or something, that would still be correct.
Yes, but you can require simplification of fractions.
Yeah, so that would be where the simplify comes in, that you can kind of require some amount of simplification or not require some amount of simplification. And so it doesn't need to be quite as strict as this, but that would be using the simplify attribute for math.
Okay.
Mhm.
And within simplify, there's different levels of simplification. So you can have simplify full, means throw the kitchen sink at it, simplify as much as you can. Uh, can you write that quickly,
Yeah.
Melissa? Just to show them the different flags.
So let's put in symbolic equality, And so if I want to be kind of lazy about this, I can leave it as x plus x for my answer and make Doenet do the work for me and say simplify equals full. And so it's going to simplify this first and then have symbolic equality, a comparison with the result there. So if I am remembering this correctly, that should give me credit for 2x now, but not for x plus x. And then there are different options for simplify here. So there's full, no simplification, and then some different options here. So like this would be just simplifying the numbers, um, and some things with like how you're combining terms or things like that. Other questions at this point? Even that. All right, so we might want to award partial credit or award credit for some different answers. So this is where the award keyword becomes helpful. So this is how we can specify multiple correct answers. So again, I have my answer tag and the answer closing tag, and now I have multiple awards within that. So I'm going to award credit for 3 different possible answers here. So something you might notice here is that we no longer have the label within the answer tag, but we have the label up here, and we've said that the label is for this answer. This is done using a reference, which we'll be talking about a little bit later. And so that this does have a label connected to it, and so that's another way to handle the accessibility and labels for answers. But the focus here is on the multiple awards. So here we're going to award credit if they answer x cubed over 3 plus c with a lowercase c. We can also award full credit if they do that with a capital C. And let's say we want to give half credit if they forget the plus C altogether, then we can say we're going to award half credit. So credit equals 0.5 using that attribute for just x cubed over 3. So we can see what that looks like. X cubed over 3, and that'll show up as 50% there.
Is there a way to make it caps insensitive
Great question.
answer?
So yeah, there's an attribute for answer that's case insensitive match. So if I don't want to type in multiple awards there, I can use case insensitive match instead. And now I can get rid of one of those, and I need to remember to use my little shortcut there. And now if I do x cubed over 3 plus capital C, while lowercase c is the one that I've got there, then that awards credit. Although I suppose this would probably also award for capital X there, which is a little bit awkward. But maybe not such a thing to worry about.
Right. But it's nice. You don't have to write in all
Yeah.
combinations.
We'll get rid of my typing there. So sometimes we also want a student to list out multiple solutions. So say they're solving something like when f of x equals 0 for x minus 2 and x plus times x plus 5 when that equals 0. So we want to get multiple solutions there. And so we can do that by having them list things here. We've got again our label here, and so that's making the x equals, and then we're awarding for 2 and minus 5. So you might notice here we've got the attribute unordered compare. If we get rid of that, now, now if I put -5, 2 in the other order, it's giving me half credit because I've got the match partial, but it won't give me credit when they're in the wrong order. So the unordered compare means they can be in either order, and the match partial means I'm going to give partial credit if they get only one of them correct. So if they only put in 2, they get half credit there.
What if they do 2 and 3?
If they do 2 and 3,
No, no, no. Leave that as negative. Or now
oh,
type
right.
in 5.
Yeah. That, all right. 2, 3. Then 50% for the 2. Mhm.
Sorry, I missed the match partial. What is that for?
So that's partial credit for getting just one of the answers. So if I get rid of the match partial and jump back to this, now if I only say 2, I don't get any credit for that. I need to get both of them right to get credit.
Oh, okay.
Can you also click on the context help, Melissa? And then click on match partial? So there you can
So,
also see that if you click on the attribute, it also gives you a little description of what that attribute does. In case you're reading someone else's activity and you see a new, attribute or component, you can click on the actual attribute and it'll give you a quick description.
all right, sometimes we want to allow answers that are, much more flexible, say answers that just satisfy some condition. So if we want them to just enter a number between 2 and 7, we can do that. The structure is a little bit more complicated now, so we still have our answer, the start of our answer, and the end of our answer. Within that, we now have a math input. So we've got a separate kind of input piece within here because we're going to give this a name and then we're awarding based off of a condition on what they're putting in. So for that math input, since this is going to make a box that they're putting input in, we need a label for that for accessibility. And so we've got our label enter a number between 2 and 7. So that's making that text over there. The math input is making this box here. And then using the attribute name, we're giving this a name that we can refer to it by later on in the Doenet ML, in the Doenet code. So that way, instead of saying we're awarding when they enter in 3, 4, 5, 6, but then we're leaving out all of the non-integer answers, we want to say that anytime they're giving anything between 2 and 7, we're awarding for that. So now we see our tag award, and then to say that we're not awarding for a specific answer, we're awarding when a condition is met. We have another tag when within that. And so within when we can write different Boolean conditions, so true false conditions. And so here we just want to say that n is between 2 and 7. So we write our inequality here 2 is less than or equal to n is less than or equal to 7. We use the $sign here to make a reference. So this is how Doenet knows that you're not just saying like the letter N here, you're referring to this name that you made before. So that, and whatever the student put in, it's going to check if that's satisfying this condition. If the condition is true, we're awarding credit. If not, they don't get credit. So if they put in 3.5 or 3.4, they get credit. They do 7.1, they don't get credit. And these conditions, we can write longer ones. We could say, let's say we don't want to just write this as 2 less than or equal to n less than or equal to 7. We could write it instead as 2 is less than or equal to n and n is less than or equal to 7. So we can use and or to build combinations of conditions to do more sophisticated answer checking there. Questions on that?
What does part mean?
Uh, oh, that's another sectional component, kind of similar to where we had section or aside before. It's a way of dividing up the document. So this would be like a part of a problem. And so, like for instance, you see like the number here. So each of these numbered pieces is a part.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
In the activity in the mini course, we had to restrict our answers for integers. Can you show us how we would do in the range, but also an integer?
I think
It's okay if not. I can
I,
search it.
I don't remember off the top of my head.
Is
Is it
integer.
yeah, okay, I thought it was something like that. Is it just is oh, it's
It's a component.
Well,
is integer and then we put n in there. Yeah.
oh,
And when you're bored on a Friday evening, you can try to do that manually instead of just cheating and using because I did do that and it was unpleasant. And then Dwayne laughed at me and said, "Why didn't you just use the is integer component?" So there is a far more fun way to do it instead of just using the
yeah.
component itself.
I was playing with that one and I asked AI to help me, and it said n equal to 0 mod 1.
Mm.
I guess that's another.
That's like a programming trick.
Yeah, I did know it.
All right, so I think we're gonna kind of stop there for answer checking with this. Um, There are kind of more examples of different options for answer checking here. I also want to point to the multiple choice examples. We're not going to go through this in detail, but this shows you how to create multiple choice questions. Starts with the answer tag, and then instead of having um, just the answer inside, you have these choices giving the different options and shows how to kind of mix up the order, have select all multiple choice questions, all the different kinds of things you'd want to do there. What I want you to do right now, we're going to talk about making assignments. In order to get ready for that, I want you to make an activity with at least one auto-graded question and answer that can be whatever you want, as simple or complicated as you like. I want you to kind of create that from scratch so you can go to My Activities, create something new, and then just kind of do whatever you want for one problem, and or more if you want. But we'll give 5 minutes for this. So at 3:46, we'll talk about making assignments. And let me know if you've got questions as you're working on this. All right, how are we doing with that? Do you have a problem ready, or do you need a little bit more time? All right, we're looking very focused, so maybe 2 more minutes and doesn't need to be fancy, just needs to be a problem. All right, so now we're going to talk about making assignments in Doenet. So this is going to be the most straightforward way to grade students' work. There are other options, like you can include Doenet in a pretext textbook hosted on Runestone. I haven't tried this out yet, but some people have figured out how to use SCORM to put things directly into Canvas or Moodle pages. So there are other options as well, but this is the most straightforward way that just only uses donet.org. So when you're in the editor for your activity, you can click this Create Assignment button, and it gives you the options for your assignment. So if we want unlimited attempts, you can do that. And then we'll talk later about how you can make multiple variants of an activity. So having some randomization with different numbers in your problems. So you can decide if you want students to all have the same version, how long you want it open. And so once you've chosen what you want, click Create Assignment. Then decide where you want it to go. So I'm just going to put it in my activities. And then we're looking back at the editor there. So to find the assignment, we're going to go to My Activities. If you put it in within a folder, you'll find it within that folder. Otherwise, you can scroll down to find it. So uh, you'll be looking for these little kind of graph icons to distinguish them from the like activity editors. So when they have this, that's an assignment. So I can go to my cool activity and see the settings that I set that up with here. So I can also change those and then invite students here. So when I click invite students, I'll get a link And so I can share that uh, link with students or use the QR code so they can go to the activity and complete it there. So I put the link in the chat, so if you want to try it out, you can do that. And after they start completing the activity, I backed too far out, but we can go back to uh, my the assignment view, and now I can see how the students are doing here. See some kind of basic statistics for it and check things out there. I can also download the assignments, the scores as a CSV file, and then use that to upload to my grade book. So we're going to get some practice with this with the activities that you just created. From the activity editor, I put these instructions in the chat. Click the Create Assignment button in the upper right. Go to My Activities to find that assignment. Click Invite Students. Share the link in the Zoom chat. Complete each other's activities so that you get a little bit of data there, and then go back to your activities to view the results.
Okay,
Where
I have a
does it say
question.
create assignment? I'm sorry, Antonio.
Yeah, no, go ahead. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, so if we're in the editor for the activity, the Create Assignment button is up in the upper right here.
Okay, let me try.
My question is that I try to use the QR on my cell phone, and I
Uh-huh.
cannot write the answer. Like, I don't know why it's not working.
Oh, uh, let me.
Is that the bug, Melissa, you were experiencing? Because someone,
No, the bug that I saw was just that the keyboard was being covered up. Um,
Yes, I'm trying to write, but I can't.
that is maybe a new one.
because the same thing happened day before at the workshop. Can you pull up the QR code again?
Yeah.
What kind of phone do you have?
Pixel by Google.
I wonder if it's an Android thing, because on an iPhone I'm able to do it.
Yeah.
Anyone else have an Android device by any chance? I
I
think
do.
that's the signal, Tonya.
Mhm.
Switch over to the dark side.
Um,
No, never. No, no Apple. No, no Windows. Never.
that's fair. So what happens when you're trying to enter in?
I no. I can enter. The thing is that I cannot write. I push the buttons and nothing works.
It's the same exact thing happened with another Android device or Android
Okay.
user at the workshop, where they were like you can click inside the window where the answer is or inside the math input
Mhm.
box, but then whenever you use the keyboard to type anything, nothing registers.
Okay.
So
Does Dwayne already know about this bug?
I mentioned it to him, but now I'll at least say that because I wasn't able to reproduce it.
Mhm.
But if it's another Android user, Tabitha, did you say you have an Android as well?
I I tried it and then I'd have to go and sign in and into Doenet, and so I stopped
I see. Okay.
because I'm still trying to write my activity.
Oh, please do that. We'll worry about the troubleshooting stuff.
Can you see how many tries the student did? Okay.
Can you click on any of the scores, Melissa?
Have you done this multiple times on a rug?
No, I
Or
haven't.
I did.
oh, sorry. Sorry, who said I did?
Danae,
Okay.
The bottom.
Yeah, so we can see the multiple attempts
And
there.
if you click on the scores, you can see the individual answers that you would have. So you only typed the gray one next to the green check mark means that you only submitted this answer once. So had you typed in the wrong answer a couple of times and then gotten the correct answer finally, then it would show like 6 or 7. In
Oh,
fact, had you done it more times, then it would have shown you all the incorrect attempts as well.
great.
And so we can go to the different attempts.
In fact, let me do that now just so you have something to share. Oh, I closed it.
Can students see this?
This,
Their score?
um, so I haven't used this newer one, Anurag. What's the student view
Students
like?
can see it, yes.
Okay.
What LMS do you use? Do you use Canvas or
Yeah,
Blackboard?
Canvas.
Okay. After Melissa's done, I'll share a couple of things.
Okay.
But yes, students can see their grade for graded activities. For things that are assigned to them, they can see their grades.
Right. Can I choose for them not to see it?
Um,
Let's say it's a quiz or um maybe I don't want them like sharing the answers with somebody else or something.
oh, can you go back to your activity, Melissa? You have a flag or an attribute for the answer show correctness.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So if you set that to false, then instead of it will just say your answer is saved to the cloud, but it won't tell them whether they're correct or incorrect.
This is good. Thank you.
I have not made it to using Doenet for a full assessment. I have used individual questions or like 3 activities as part of the assessment, but I still want, I don't know, I can't give up the paper.
All right, I see Danae's activity shared. How's everyone else doing? Or assignment shared, I should say.
I made a couple of mistakes, Melissa, if you want to go look at the uh, multiple submissions thing for me. And then click on, or you could have just clicked on the score.
Oh, so it's still within the same attempt.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there you can see I attempted it 8 times. The first time I typed in 12, then 124, and so on and so forth. So those are all the wrong answers I typed, and then finally I typed in 2. And then if I had, so these were multiple attempts at that one question.
Right.
If I said, oh, I want to practice more because it's not just a static question. This will always be 1 plus 1, no matter how many attempts you make at it. But if you have randomized numbers in your problems, if someone gets it correct and they say, oh, I want to do it again for practice, they would click the new attempt button on the top of their page. You might see it on Melissa's activity, not your own. But if you click on someone else's activity, you'll see new attempt at the top of the page with which you can generate new attempts. So attempts at an activity are different to attempts at a question, if that makes sense.
Okay. Sorry, so if I click on new attempt, the problems might change, right? So if you have them randomized somehow.
If they're randomized, yes.
Oh, I see.
But if they're static, then it will just be the same question again.
All right.
I submitted solutions to, or some interesting answers to all the ones that are shared so far. For the folks that shared links, are you able to go into that activity and see my submission?
Yes. Mm. So in case we don't have infinite attempts, can I leave some feedback for students?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yep, there's a feedback component.
Oh, great.
Wait, can you ask your question more specifically?
Yeah, so if they just have one attempt and they got it wrong or partially correct, can I leave like a comment about their answer? Or
You or Doenet leave a comment
oh,
about their answer?
I mean, I'd love Donut to do the work for me.
Let's see,
The
is
answer to
that?
that question is yes.
Oh,
Can
great.
an instructor leave a comment, Melissa? I thought that's what you were answering.
Oh, I don't think so.
Okay. Yeah,
Okay.
you as the instructor can't annotate student work that goes back to them and says, my professor said this,
Mhm.
but you do have, I think we'll talk about it Wednesday. You do have the ability to say, if you get it wrong, 3 times, then this feedback occurs.
Mm.
But and then you can also try to get ahead and say, these are the most commonly made mistakes, or you can start to think of writing questions in a manner that students get funneled into one of 3 mistakes, each of which you can write appropriate feedback for. But so there's a bit of art to, or art and a science to writing questions with the feedback in mind that you want students to get.
So here's a kind of quick, uh, I'll just paste this in the chat for now. Uh, we can come back to this on Wednesday, but that's an example of how to do feedback. Although that's maybe a bad example since I gave you an incomplete question. Here, I'll grab this one. That'll be a little bit better. All right. Should we move on to talk about references some more? All right.
Tabitha, oh, before we move on, Tabitha, were you able to come up with an activity?
I haven't been able to solve all my errors.
Say that again. You cut out for me.
I have not been able to solve my errors.
If you feel comfortable, we can take a little breather here and have you share your screen just to make
Oh,
sure we're all moving at the same pace. Melissa, is that
let
okay?
me
Yep,
let me
definitely.
let me find it. It's like I just kept getting more and more in trouble. Okay, back to my Zoom. Share. Okay, so at first I felt like I had my problem and I created the little section that was boxed. but then I wanted to give, not have a single answer, but have it where they could decide on a number that satisfied the inequality. So I think the problem that I'm hitting is the making, by putting the label in here, that's to make it more accessible, right? So the label would come before the box. The question is, give a number that satisfies this inequality. I put the math expression here, and then I close out the label.
Yeah, so it looks like you've got kind of the right pieces here. You've just got some issues with the ordering.
Okay.
So where you're starting your math input on line 4,
Uh-huh.
so take that math input tag and move it inside of the answer tag.
Do I need that angle bracket P? Like
So
I
you
have,
can leave that, that's fine.
okay. And so then it's not inside the parentheses. It'd be like return and put it there.
Yep. Yep.
Okay.
And then on line 10, where you have your award, take
Mm-hmm.
that whole line and move it kind of up so that it's between the closing math input and the closing answer. So between lines 8 and 9. Let's give that a try.
Woohoo!
Yay!
Okay, so now I can create it. And right.
Hmm. And then go to My Activities in the top right.
So
Yep.
this one, invite students.
Yep.
Yay. Okay. So now I gotta go back to you guys. Share it. Thank you for your patience.
Are you busy?
Nope, we might need to check the condition on that one still.
Okay. Are you seeing the right screen?
So this is gonna award when n is less than -2, which I think is probably not what you want, but I think it awards for that. So
And it has to have that space, right?
yeah. Mhm.
Then now one note, if you update your activity, you got to create a new assignment.
Okay.
So I did answer the old one a couple of times and I was like, why is this not working? And now I realize I eventually realized what was happening. But anytime you modify an activity, the old one has nothing to do with the new changes that you've made. So
Okay.
make sure your stuff works as expected before you assign it.
Mhm.
So even if you write in for students to have one attempt, they can still have multiple attempts within the one, right?
Correct. So you can limit the number of attempts at the activity and you can limit the number of attempts at a question.
Oh, okay.
So within the answer tag, you can say max num attempts or max num of attempts, something like that. And you can
Oh,
say, for this question, the maximum number of attempts is 3, which is different to giving the entire activity 3 attempts.
right.
All right, let's take more of a look at references now. So I'm going to have us start with a blank activity. So can go to My Activities and do New Document to start with something blank here. We've seen references show up when we're doing answer checking with the condition and saying we're awarding when some condition is met, and like we just saw with Tabitha's activity, and wanting to see when the student's response satisfies an inequality, for instance. Um, so, uh, kind of in general, we can do this. So let's say we have some math expression here. We can give it a name. Um, I don't know, we'll call this F, say. So I'm going to put this in a paragraph so that I have things more clearly distinguished by lines. And so I can now reference this. So I see x squared there. And if I want to refer to this same math expression elsewhere, I can use the $F to refer to that. So now, nothing too exciting going on right here. It's just showing me the same thing again because I'm referring to that same piece there. So that's is useful for answer checking, as we saw. It can also become really useful when we're trying to get some specific information out of a component. So on Wednesday, we'll start to look at graphing. And one of the components that we'll use for that is a point. So let's suppose we're looking at the point 1, 4, and we're going to name this point P. Well, we've got our point P here. It's not within a graph right now, so it's just going to show me the coordinates. Now I can refer to that point with, again, $P and see the exact same thing again. But let's suppose I wanted to do something with the x coordinate. And so I just want to access the x coordinate of that point. So what I'm doing here is accessing what's called a property of that component. So I'm getting some information out of the component. So this is different from an attribute. So like when we're looking at name, that's an attribute that's doing something where we're defining the behavior of the component. So we're assigning it a name here. We use properties to get information out of them. So attributes, we're changing behavior or telling the component what it should be doing. Properties, we're getting information out of it. So it's like input versus output, kind of. So I can use the reference to the point P and then use the dot X to get its X component there, and that's 1. Similarly, I can use dot Y to get its Y component. If we want to look at well, I don't want to learn about references. I want to go to the point references page. You'll notice we've got attributes and properties. So when we're looking at attributes, those are the things that we can use to change its behavior. And then for properties, that's information we can get out. A lot of the times, attributes will also show up as properties, so you'll see overlap between these. Um, but they're just used in different ways. Um, so you can see different examples of our options for properties here. And if we scroll down long enough, we'll see the X and Y as 2 examples of the properties that we can get out of a point. Um, so now I have x squared up here. So maybe I want to be thinking of that as a function and I want to be working with that as a function. So I can have this as a math here, but if I'm specifically wanting to use this as a function, I can get functionality for that, haha, by instead using the function component. So let's do that instead. So now Doenet knows that this is a function. It's not kind of math more generally, which can be a lot of different things, like a point can be a math. And so kind of specifically with a function, we can evaluate functions and do things like that. So, so far, nothing has changed. It's still being displayed as x squared and x squared when I refer to it. But when we have functions, we can look at some additional properties. One of the nice function or at properties that functions have is minima and maxima. So if I do f dot minima here, I can get the minimum of the function at 0, 0. So you can imagine that this is a helpful thing for calculus. And this will be, I believe, the local minima. If I do maxima, there's nothing there because it doesn't have a maximum. So we see it going straight from the function to the point coming afterwards. Another thing that we can do with functions is evaluate them. So maybe the most obvious thing you'd want to do is write a reference to the function and then in parentheses 2 after it to try to evaluate a function at 2 say. But Doenet just sees that reference f and says, okay, you want me to put f there, and then I've got 2 after that. So we need to be a little bit more specific with that. So we have a additional notation for function evaluation, and that's with $2 signs. So if we want to evaluate a function, we do that with a double $sign, and now we can get the function evaluated at 2. So we get the result for there.
How could we evaluate the function at the y coordinate of p?
That is going to be an exercise.
Oh, never mind. Sorry.
So I've got any questions before we do that exercise? Or not exactly that, but similar.
Can you have the function show up with its name, like f of x equals x squared?
Anurag, do you know?
I always just write f of x equals. Let me check. I don't know if
So we could do something, I guess we could do f dot name.
is name a thing?
Well, it's an attribute, right? Or it's an attribute, and I would imagine it's a property. Oh, I guess it isn't a property, huh?
Uh,
Ah, that doesn't work.
Let
All right,
me
so I
look
think
this
you
up.
just have to write it out.
Oh,
Yeah.
I
So
see.
we would do f of 2 equals, or I
Mhm.
should put the equals in the math.
Okay. Mhm.
So you could do like that. Mhm.
I would just put the 4 inside as well. Otherwise, you're going to get that weird space kerning issue of
Oh, right.
like right
Yeah.
now on the right-hand side, there's less space than on the left-hand side. So if you know that it's a mathematical thing, just put it inside the giant M tags all the way instead of leaving the. Can you make a copy of it and put it underneath, Melissa? Just so folks can see the contrast.
Oh,
Copy of the line and put the evaluation outside. So
Oh,
you
I
see on the second line, the right-hand side is too close to the equal. So you get
yep.
those weird space issues if you don't wrap the whole thing inside of an M tag.
mhm. All
Is
right.
that because it becomes text instead of math?
It becomes a
Uh,
number, which is different to text.
Okay.
mhm. All right. So now the task that I have for you, create numbers A and name them A and B. So I'm typing this in the chat now. And have Doenet evaluate the function x squared at those numbers. So you'll use the number component for those. And type in the chat when you're done with that.
So when you say create numbers named A and B,
Mhm.
you mean choose specific numbers for A and B.
Yep. Mhm.
Okay, got it.
How are we doing with this? Do you want more time to work at it, or do you want to talk through it? All right, just a little more.
I'm I think I might be done, but I'm just wondering what's the point of naming the number A and B, or was I not supposed to like define those as like variables? Maybe I didn't do it right.
Um, Maybe it'll become clear a little bit later.
Okay.
All right, I think let's talk about this now. So how should I create those numbers?
The same way that you define a function, but with the name number, not function.
Hmm. And so, yeah, we'll give this the name A. What number do you want?
True.
2. All right. So we've got our number A. We can do the same thing for B. What do you want for B?
Negative
Uh,
2.
-2. All right. So we've got our numbers 2 and -2 up here. Um, so we can see those. And now we've got our kind of example of function evaluation here. How do you think we can update that so that it's using these numbers that we've now defined?
Can you, in line 5, put in, instead of 2, the capital A? Or does it have to be dollar capital A?
Yeah, so it'll need to be $A so that it knows that it's a reference. And so then we see
Can you
f of
try it without
2.
the dollar?
Yep. So if we forget and leave off of the dollar, then it'll think you're just doing a variable, and so now it's evaluating the variable a or the function f at the variable a. So that's a common mistake to make is forgetting those dollar signs. I do it all the time. So when you see your component name popping up there, it's an indication you forgot your dollar sign. So there we see kind of over on the left, f of 2, because we've just got f there. We haven't told Doenet to evaluate f. And then we've got the reference to a pulling in the 2. And then on the right side, we've got the double dollar sign f telling it to evaluate the function f at what we have in parentheses here. And that's pulling in the 2 as well. And then we can repeat that for b. And so just instead of referencing A, we're now referencing B and see that f of -2 equals 4 as well. So when we're defining things that we're referencing, sometimes we define a whole bunch of things that we want to use, but we don't necessarily want them displayed for the student to see. So something that's handy for that is setup tags. So I can put these numbers within setup tags. So I'll indent that so it's a little more clear. And so then these are defined so that I can reference them, but they won't be displayed. So now if I update my page, those numbers no longer appear, but I'm still able to use them down here for that function evaluation. Questions at this point?
I have a question. Can we define like a list in order to refer the elements as L1, S2, or something like that?
Yeah, so we can have a math list. There are different kinds of lists. There's a text list, a Boolean list, and then by, let's call this my list. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. And then I can do my list, and then to access the items, we can do like my list and then in square brackets too to get uh that gets the second item in the list. So if you're a computer science person like me, you get annoyed that indexing doesn't start as 0, but if you're a math
As
person,
God
maybe you're
intended.
happy that it starts at 1. Other questions? All right, so I've got another task for you. So I'm going to type this in the chat again. So using the numbers A and B again, create the problem, solve the equation x plus A equals B for x, um, where A and B are placed with their values. So take a few minutes to work on this and see what you can figure out there. Ah,
Then I suppose that you have a way to choose randomly numbers on a list, right? Then you can do this.
Yep, that'll be the next topic.
Oh,
Yep, so we're building up to that.
That's cool.
Speaking of the next topic, and in the interest of time, does anyone need help?
Yeah.
Anyone stuck in a drastic manner? Just like our classes, no one ever wants to ask me a question.
Are we ready to talk about this?
So how do we get the input box?
So the input box is missing right now because I haven't given a correct answer. So once I give a correct answer, that'll show up. I can put in just 2 for now, and now it'll appear. Um, but I haven't figured out the correct answer yet, so I'm leaving that off. All right, so let's forge onward, even if we're not quite there yet. We want to solve the equation for x. How can I write out that equation? Do I do x plus a equals b?
X plus $A equals $B.
Yeah, so if I forget, I'm just going to get a and b, and the students are going to be like, what the heck? I expected numbers. So now we need to make those references so that it knows that it's referring to those components. And so now we see that we're solving that equation for x. So now we've got our prompt written. So now we need to figure out the answer checking. So what would the correct answer to this be?
-4.
All right, so -4. That works, right?
Mhm.
Except
but you
now,
We want
but
it.
you
We
can
want
use
B minus
oh,
A.
now it's not right anymore. So how can I make my answer so it'll work once I change my numbers A and B?
you
Dollar
can
B
use
minus
the
dollar A.
Yeah, so we can have Doenet do the work for us and realize that, okay, we can just put in the answer as $B minus $A. And now we can put in -5, and that'll be marked as correct. We do have our old issue here that if they type in -3 -2, that's also being marked as correct. But we can fix that using the same old tricks. We can put this in a math, have Doenet simplify it, and then what is it? Symbolic equality has y, that's it. All right, so then if I'm remembering that correctly, -5 is now counting, but -3 -2 is not counting anymore. So I can force them to simplify there in this way. So, as Tonio was alluding to, what's nice about this setup is that we can change these numbers A and B, and this problem will still work. So we can have random choices or have multiple versions of this problem with different values for A and B, and the problem will work. We've got the answer checking set up to work for whatever those numbers end up being. So that gives us a lot of versatility for this problem later on. Before we get into how to do that, any questions about the setup that we have here?
Why didn't you write the award?
So when we just have a correct answer, we don't need the award. It doesn't hurt anything to have it there. So this will do the exact same thing. I'm just in the habit of leaving it off because that's what I'm used to. So,
Okay.
yeah. But yeah, if you want to have multiple answers, then you do need the awards so that
Oh, I
you're
see.
able to list them out
Okay.
separately. Other questions? All right. Anurag, do you want to get us at least started on variants before we end for the day?
Yeah.
All right, good luck.
Let's see how fast I can talk. Okay, so normally this happens through a bit of notice and see what happens, but in the interest of time, I'm just going to tell you what's happening. So this is a section. That's the big section. The title of that section is Task 1. Oh, there's my cursor. Title is Task 1, and that you can see here. This is boxed because there's an attribute of boxed on this section. Are we okay with that? Now there's three things happening here. There's a select that's called A, and it's selecting from the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So you can give Doenet a list of things to pick from. It doesn't have to be just numbers. It could be words or whatever. But for now, we're just talking about numbers. You can have select work on letters or select work on words like apple, banana, or pick your favorite fruit of these. Select prime numbers hopefully is obvious enough. We're naming that selected number B, and we're saying pick a prime number between 1 and 20. From means where you're starting, to means stop here for this list. Select from sequence is selecting integers. We're calling that integer that's selected C, and it's selecting from 1 to 10. Now, attributes for select from sequence is the one I use most frequently. In some cases, I want prime numbers for non-factorability. In that case, you can select prime numbers, but more often than not, I'm just using select from sequence. You can say num to select. What do you think that does? So if I said num to select equals 3, what do you expect to happen?
It's gonna choose three items.
Yeah, it's going to choose three numbers from 1 to 10. They're going to be called C1, C2, C3 because it becomes a list. So you index it starting at 1. And here, if you wanted to see more attributes that are available, why aren't they popping up? You can change the step size so that the step size is 2. That means starting at 1, pick every other number. You're not picking just 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. And there's others as well, but we'll just use these for now. All right, so I want the first number selected to appear here at the end of this sentence. How would I do that?
$A.
And the next number appears here, $B. The third number appears here, $C. And that, in fact, is our first task. So display the first, second, and third selected numbers at the end of each of the sentences. We've just done that. Fair? Now, I don't want to see this list because I want to only see the thing that I have to do next at the very top. So how do I comment out the task that I've completed? Anyone remember?
You want to comment it out or you want
Yes, I don't want to see this here. I don't want to delete it.
control
Uh,
forward slash?
That up?
So that's this guy, right? Now, if I just comment this thing out,
Oh, okay.
notice that it just takes the text away.
That's right.
How would I take away the numbering as well?
Is the number coming from the LI?
Yeah.
I missed the what LI and UL mean.
I haven't mentioned that yet, but
Oh,
I
okay.
was hoping someone would point that out. So an OL stands for an ordered list.
Oh,
So
okay.
it will number the list for you. An LI is a list item. So it's basically saying this is the first thing that goes in your list. This is the second thing that goes in your list, but you don't have to keep track of all the numbers. The ordered list does it for you. Uh, what would be the opposite of an ordered list?
A random one.
An
Say it, Tabitha, I got 8 minutes. I got to talk with.
unordered list?
Yes, and you do that with a UL. So if I replace the OL with a UL, you'll notice that these numbers go away, and now you just have a bulleted list.
Okay.
So there might be times where you need an ordered list. There might be times when you need an unordered list. You can pick either one. The list item stays the same. So it doesn't matter whether you have an OL or a UL, you still use LI to indicate the list items.
Okay.
Oops, go back. So if I want to get rid of this entire thing, I just select all the lines that the first list item is on, command forward slash or control forward slash, and that goes away. Now, I want to make all the numbers look like they're rendered math. So the 4 looks nice. The 7 and the 17 don't look nice. Notice that the first selected number came from select. The second 17 and 7 are coming from these two components. Why do you think that they're not rendered the same? Sorry, I have a bad habit of asking questions and not answering them, and I'm looking at the clock. Select by default is type math, so it renders it as type math. Now, I could have done type equals text, I think, and now it looks like regular text math. So I'm going to take this away. If I want to render B as a math display, what tag would do that?
The arrow bracket math, right?
So math is typically used for computations. It will work here. In fact, just to show you, I'll do that. Let's see. If you're just displaying, both M and math will do the same. If you want to do simplifications, you want to do any computations, M will not do any of that. You have to use math.
Okay.
There. Now, math is quote unquote heavier because it comes with the entire computer algebra system. So you want to be careful with your activity will start to maybe slow down if you're using math everywhere and you have like a 8,000 line activity. So for small stuff that you're working on right now, it's probably no difference. But as you get to very, very long documents, then every choice sort of starts to matter. All right, so we've done that. Take this out. In the interest of time, are we okay with how to make an unordered list? What would we use to make an unordered list?
UL.
UL. And how would I make the numbers look like they're plain text? So I used M and math to make them look like math. How would I make them look like plain text?
With the
Uh,
text.
Yeah. So for A, which is already a math, I'm going to put text around it just so you can see the difference. And notice what happens right here.
Okay.
So now that gets rendered as plain text. So if you want to turn a number into a text, I don't know why you would, but you can. I'm going to take this away because it looks terrible. All right, so how do we modify the second selected number so that it can never be the first selected number? So I want to make sure that B is never allowed to be any of these values of A simultaneously. So B could be 6 when A is 5, but A and B cannot both be 5 simultaneously. We can
so
accomplish that with, sorry,
could
there's someone
could
about
you say and uh dollar A not equal to dollar B?
the short way of saying what you probably could. The shorter way to do that is just to say exclude.
Oh, eh,
Exclude, and what do we want to exclude?
dollar A.
Value of A.
So the value of A is not the letter A, but $ A.
Right.
So here, you'll notice that we have this little tab that we haven't had before because we haven't had any randomized numbers. In fact, if I go back to here, don't worry about this, but notice that there's no tab here that says A.
Mhm.
But if I go here, now there's this tab that has the letter A in it. This indicates all the variants of this problem. And there's 100 by default as a maximum. I think you can increase them and so on and so forth. Oh, that's Melissa. So if I go here, now these numbers change. And you can cycle through them by just clicking these things as well. I know I'm inducing epilepsy in
Eh,
probably some of you, but you can see that, the numbers are not the same. A and B will never be the same. You can also make it so that not only A is excluded, but 2 times A is excluded as well. So you can say $2 A. There's no way to indicate that to you, but that did happen behind the scenes. There? So you can exclude combinations of numbers, not just whatever the selection was. We can also exclude, oh, I don't know, A squared. So $A. If I just write $A, that means multiply the two of them. Or you can do this. You have to remember to put it in parentheses. Otherwise, the $ will look for A caret 2 as the name of something that it's trying to reference.
Anurag, I need to head out. Are you set for wrapping things up?
Yes,
Okay, great.
it's going to be the fastest wrap up ever.
All right. I will see you all on Wednesday, hopefully.
Yep.
Thank you, Melissa.
Yeah.
Okay. Couple more things. If we do num to select equals 2, the way you can use the third selected number is it won't be C. How would I indicate the first selected value?
A, dollar A.
Well, third selected value. So C is now, there's 2 of those things being selected.
Oh,
Oh,
C1,
C1
and C2.
and imagine I'm making a second sentence. I'm not, but imagine that there were a second sentence that said the fourth selected number is, and that would show up as 7. So you can use index notation to pull things out from a list. Question so far?
So the one and two that you just included with the square brackets are like just sub-indices to,
Yes. Think of a vector or an array where you have a list of two elements or a vector of two elements, C. The first element of that list or vector is C1. The second element or that vector of that vector is C2. The way you figure now, if I had just done C and nothing else,
Mm-hmm.
then it would list both of them because
Okay.
now you're not telling Doenet which one you want. So it's saying, here's everything. Had I selected three numbers, then it would show me all three numbers because I wasn't specific about which one I wanted. But if I want just the third one, there it is, just the third number. So indices, just like Melissa was using earlier, allow us to access parts of a list. Um, how would I write the sum of the four numbers? So I want on the left-hand side to say, this is the first number plus the second number plus the third number plus the fourth number. And on the right-hand side, I want to actually write whatever the sum is. How would I do that? Dollar
You
sign.
want it as your part of your ordered list?
No, I just outside. I just want to write a math expression.
Like $A plus $B plus $C.
Just C?
Oh, yeah, C of 1 plus C of 2 plus $, yeah.
Well, we'll stop there. Equals. Now I want to actually find the sum and display it on the right-hand side. How would I do that?
Angle bracket math.
Double, oh, right.
Um,
What goes
dollar
in?
A plus dollar B plus, would you have the same thing down there?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
but that's not what I wanted. I want it to actually be the computed value.
Uh,
Oh, yeah.
does it simplify?
Yeah. So
Oh,
within this math, we need to use the simplify attribute. And now you see that you actually see the sum. 4
mm,
plus 13 plus 4 plus 7 is 28. So you can do math or you can do computations using the simplify attribute with random numbers. So when you come up with answers, like to the equation that Melissa was talking about, A minus B or B minus A, whichever order it was, you don't have to do the math yourself. In fact, you don't even know what A, B, C, and D are, or A, B, C1 and C2 are.
mhm.
You can say, well, pick these four numbers, and now I want you to add them. And at no point of time do I ever find out what that is as the author. I can look at it on the right-hand side, but notice that if I go to a different problem, the numbers are different and the sum changes as well. So it does take a little bit more work to make things randomized, but in the grand scheme of things, I hope you recognize how much more powerful this is. You can give students different values. But if I had, I'm going to just show something separately here. If I wanted to assign the same variant to every single student, because whatever, you're doing it in class and you want every single student to have the same variant, you can toggle this on. And then if you're using the same problem for homework, for instance, you can leave this untoggled and say everyone's going to get their own problem. So depending on what you want, it's better, I think, in the grand scheme of things to make variants and
Mhm.
not use them than give everyone the same version of the problem. And if someone wants additional practice, then say, well, sorry, just do that one again.
So can
Any?
you go back to
Sorry.
when you clicked on the drop down arrow next to the update and we had all of those versions. So were each of those an example of the problem that you already did that you could give to students? I don't think I understand the variant thing.
So imagine a student does this problem. At the top of the page, if you've allowed multiple attempts, so here, if you've said allow unlimited attempts or however many attempts you have, on the top
Mhm.
of the page, they would get a button that says new attempt. When they click
Right.
that button, a new variant would show up on their screen. So if they had done variant A, they've done everything correctly and they want more practice and they have more attempts left, they would click the button New Attempt. And when they do, the page would reload and new numbers would, or the problem with new numbers would show up.
So they are generating the new attempt, and it's not you generating the new attempts. Well, okay.
I've generated 100 problems. So I have 100 problems for them to choose from.
Uh-huh.
If I want every single student in the class to do the same exact problem with the same numbers, then I have to say, assign the same variant of this activity to all students. I have to have that selected. But if
Got
I
it.
say, nope, this is homework or practice for a quiz that's upcoming, I want you to have unlimited attempts because I want you to keep practicing. And I want you to be able to get new variants. So then the only thing you would check is this guy, which is allow unlimited attempts. Once I solve the problems on this page as a student, this one doesn't have unlimited attempts, but imagine that it did. Once you've solved all the problems here, there would be a button here in the middle that says new attempt. When you click on that, this page will flash, it will refresh, and new problems will get loaded in.
And that's considered a new variant.
Yes, a variant is for the entire activity.
Okay.
Now you can make it so that your activity just has one problem, in which case they're both the same. The variant for the problem and the variant for the activity are the same. Variants are used to define the behavior of activities, not problems. Some people have asked for a new feature, which is, I want a new attempt for just this problem and not reset the whole thing. There's philosophical discussions as to, and technical discussions as to why that's a good, bad, ugly idea. That's not available yet, but some very influential people have asked for it, so I wouldn't be surprised if it shows up. So then you'd have new attempts for individual questions and new attempts for the entire activity. But that doesn't exist as of, well, right now. Last couple of things. I know I'm running very late.
Sorry, how do you control the number of variants?
So you can say, I remember,
Oh, okay.
variant control, max num variance equals 20. So
Oh,
then this problem will only have 20 variants. Is that
okay.
what you meant?
Yeah, but before when you didn't have that line, how did
The
you make it
default is
have
100.
right. But how, like, what's the function here that gives you the 100 variants? Like, how are
Well,
you making this?
oh, sure. Select can pick from one of 6 values.
Oh, okay,
So in
okay.
the first variant, let's go back to the first variant.
So that defines the number, the variance.
Correct. The variants are different combinations of values. So if
Oh, I
A can
see.
be either 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and B can be any number from 1 to 20 that's also prime but does not include these numbers, that might be more values. So combinatorially, now you're starting to multiply. So 6 times whatever
Right.
values you have for C.
I see. I got it. Thank you.
Mhm. Um, Two things, and then I'm definitely going to call it a day. I will share this activity with you in case you wanted to work through the other, and I would encourage you to just to get used to how to use variants and indices and whatnot. One important thing, if you want to randomize the numbers in this equation, A, B, and C, you can do that. You can do select from sequence and blah, blah, blah. But how would you make an equation so that the solution to that equation is always an integer, so it's a negative integer, and it needs to be less than -5? So if you have to write this as a problem, which we would have done had we had time, how, like, theorize it out loud for me? No wrong answers. Just throw something out there.
It's -5.
And I'll tell you what the bad way of doing this is. Pick a random number for A, pick a random number for B, and pick a random number for C. Do we recognize that there's no guarantee that that will lead to integer solutions? much less integer solution that's going to be less than anything. So a bad way of doing this is to say, I want a problem in this form. Let me randomize the parameters. So you don't want to do that. It's a very, very important trick. I don't know what to call it, technique, mechanism that I want you to be aware of before you leave.
Well, you would want to look at C minus B divided by A, right? So that quantity, we want it to be an integer value, but less than -5.
Now, I will tell you this, there is no pruning algorithm in Doenet. So you can't say pick a number for A, pick a number for B, pick a number for C. And if these conditions are satisfied, then move ahead. If these conditions are not satisfied, then discard this combination. So you don't have the ability. Doenet is not a programming language, even though it might feel like one. You don't have subroutines, you don't have rejection algorithms. I'll give it away again. I'm looking at the clock and I don't want to keep you guys too late. What if you chose the values of A and
and
C,
B.
or A and B for that matter?
Mhm.
What if you determine two numbers and then you randomize the value for X as well, but X is only chosen from where to where?
It's less than -5, so it'd have to be like
Let's do this together. So you
negative.
have select from sequence.
Mhm.
I'm going to pick name equals const from, I don't care where these numbers are from. So I'll say from 1 to 10. And I want 2 to be selected. So this is my A and B.
Okay.
Now I want to also select a third number. Well, solution. Now here we have to be careful because I want it to be an integer. That's easy, just use select from sequence. But I want it to be less than -5. So where should we start?
E divided by A.
-6.
If you start at -6, where are you stopping?
Okay.
You want it to be less than -5. So that doesn't give you much room. In fact,
Oh,
the solution will always be -6 in this case.
sorry.
That's okay.
Um,
I want to stop at -6, but where do I want to start? What about -15? I don't want every single student to have the same solution, right? Because then that's just going to entice them to copy paste. So if everyone's equation has a solution of -6, not so good of an equation. But what if we randomize the coefficients and the solution itself? Stick with me. I feel like I lost some of you. How would I determine the value of C now? Because that cannot be randomized. The value of C depends on what A, X, and B are.
Right.
So this should be a what?
it'd be you want to know what C is.
Yep. How would I do
So
that?
you'd have to do $A times, well, wait a minute.
Well, it needs to live inside of a component. So what component do I have to start with?
Math.
Yep. Because with math, we can do what?
Math.
True. I can simplify. That's what I was
Yeah,
looking for.
yeah.
So $A. Well, we don't have A. We have const.
So const 1
Yep.
times
Solution.
solution, dollar solution.
Mhm.
plus
plus const
const
2.
2.
Yeah.
And how am I going to use this later?
That's
That's
gonna be our C.
Yep.
uh-huh.
So I need to give it a name, right?
Right.
So math name equals C. And now if I said solve, what's the equation?
AX plus B equals C.
Oh, I don't want students to see AX plus B equals C. I
Mhm.
want them to actually see the equation itself.
So, but so wouldn't it be okay?
AX plus B equals C.
I'll give it away.
Oh,
Const
Const 1
right.
X,
times
X
because
plus
X
plus
is my solution, right? Or X is my variable, rather, that carries the solution.
right.
Plus
Const
const
2.
const
2
2 equals.
C, dollar C.
Right.
So that those are my two constants A and B, 7 and 6. My solution is negative 15, but students don't see that. They just see X because that's where the solution ought to be. And then the value of C is computed based on what A, B, and C were.
Mhm.
How would I check to see? Would need an answer. And I won't go through all the symbolic equality stuff for now, but what is the computed answer?
Dollar C minus dollar constant 2 quantity, that quantity divided by dollar constant 1.
Or
Oh, there's an easier way.
solution.
Oh, wait, what?
Remember, we pinned our solution so we could compute the value of C. So this
Right.
is where I think Doenet is very different from other platforms that you might have either used or programmed in. If you know what your answer needs to be
Right.
and what form the answer needs to be in because you chose it,
Mhm.
and then you determine not the answer, but some other part of the equation, well, then the answer is just whatever you chose it to be. You don't have to go doing computations. Uh, so here, the answer is negative 15.
Mhm.
But the student doesn't ever get to recognize that from just the form of the problem, right? They just see an equation that they need to solve. And
So
as a
could you
summary,
have put like negative infinity to negative 6?
no,
Or
because number one, you can only have 100 variants. So what does going to negative infinity to negative 6 do for you? Uh, Students would also probably freak out if they got very large numbers.
Yeah.
Um, and you're also increasing the computational complexity of the problem for no gain whatsoever. So I always
okay.
tell people that, yes, it's cheaper for us as mathematicians to say, oh, just choose something on this interval, but that doesn't mean it leads to a good problem, right? We all, at least if you're teaching college algebra or pre-calculus or intermediate algebra like I am, students freak out when they see things like negative 99. Might not be an issue in calculus or linear algebra or discrete, but yeah, I'll leave that at that. Um,
And then if you didn't want them to see the setup, then you'd go to the top and do the angle brackets setup
Correct.
so that they didn't see everything
Yes.
ahead of
So
time.
for any of these questions, you'll notice that there's typically a massive setup block. Well, these are static questions from Match, but da, 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 da. This is the activity I was showing you earlier. Well, in this case, the setup is just this. I'm creating a function that's coming from the student input, from the second student input. So this is student num1. This is student num2. So I'm creating a function based on that. And then I'm creating a different function that passes through. We'll talk about that more on Wednesday. The last thing, I appreciate you guys sticking around this long. If you go to doenet.org and you go to community on the homepage and go to community discussions, This nice page should show up. And there's a post here called August Workshop Day 1 Tasks.
Mm.
If you open that, you'll get to see this post. To share a reply, you can just say, hi, this, or whatever. You can type there. If you want to close your tab, you can do that. So if you click on this link, it'll bring you to some tasks. We've written them with the intention of maybe solidifying the stuff that we've talked about today. If you have the time, we'd love for you to work through these. The next time we meet is Wednesday, but Tuesday afternoons from 2 to 4 Eastern, we have office hours. So if you have the time to work through them and you get stuck, you can either share a link to your activity. Did we share how to do that? Maybe we forgot. Okay, so here's how you share your activity. Click on sharing settings. Everything is set to private by default. And if you click on unlisted, and then click save. Don't try to make it public yet because there's a higher bar to making them public from an accessibility standpoint. For instance, here, the activity also has not been categorized. So there's a bunch of hoops that you have to jump through before we allow you to put things in the public area that other people can see it. But for now, you can just click unlisted, click save access, and then here's the link. So if you're having trouble with anything, whether it works or not, make it unlisted, click copy link, and then that link can be shared as a response to the post here. Any questions? This is why I don't think we can narrow this down from a 4-day workshop to a 1-day or 2-day workshop.
It is a lot, but I feel like I learned so much.
That's encouraging. That's good to hear.
And you were very clear, and Melissa as well. I'm usually not good at programming at all. I mean, I've taken other courses in Spanish, and even so, I mean, but this one has been great. Very, very clear. So thank you.
That's very encouraging to hear. Thank you for being attentive and sticking around for as long as you have. I'm happy to continue chatting. I'll stop the recording here.
Oh, that was recorded. Okay.